Hey, here's a look at the my Commander XT with a limited dash, and I just want to show you something here. I ordered a power steering switch. I don't know if you can see that there. I'll put a still shot, but anyway, so it says power steering. I'll just turn it on for you here real quick. But you see that red light? I got it set up so it comes on initially and then goes off. So if there's any problem, I will see that light coming on, but the rest of them you see light, but that one doesn't light at night, only when it comes on and off. So that works pretty good. And anyway, I want to show you a few other things down here on the power steering. This is the Wicked power steering. This here is the bracket for the Wicked power steering. A little dusty, but you get the idea. Anyway, what I had was, this is looking in, let me show you real quick. We're looking in from the driver's side here. And as we look underneath the dash where the knees would go, this is right underneath the driver's seat. But normally you have a hole right back here. This is the battery. Normally you have a hole right back here, and you have a hole up on the top. And those two holes hold the, I think it's called the ECU, the engine control unit. They hold that. But what happens with this bracket that comes from Wicked is that's moved back. The problem I was having is in the back here, which a few of you I think have had the same problem. In the back, the plug that's on the back of the ECU is actually bumping this other mounting location. So, I think that switched. Anyway, because that was bumping there, it was pressing on those wires, and that can't be good for an ECU. And that's the ECU up here. So, that's mounted to the new bracket. So what I did is, I took the bracket and that hole, I re-drilled it about a ½ an inch back so it was completely clear. There was no overlap, so you could see it was just a completely fresh hole without busting any of the edges. And I just swung it out about a ½ an inch and left the top one alone. And then this one here was the hole, the new hole you drill through the frame. And anyways, what I did is I drilled that through here, and I just honed out the other side of the bracket. I don't think we're going to be able to see in there, but the other side of the bracket up here, right where my finger is. Let's see if we can see that. Yeah, you can't really see that, but right at the end of my finger, that bolt there goes through. Anyway, that hole, I ended up just honing out a little bit so we could get the bracket to line up. So anyways, there's a single hole here, and then the single hole up there, but it's just moved. What this did is a couple of things. First of all, it lined up the upper shaft. You can see here, this is the ECU, or I'm sorry, the power steering, EPS, and this is the upper steering shaft. It comes up and goes into the steering column here. This is the one a lot of guys are having problems with, and I did it too, and I could see it was going to be short. So what I did is, that's why I swung this out. Two things: it fixed the wire back there, and it also brought the motor closer. Unfortunately, a ½ an inch was too much, but it actually worked out even better. What I did is I put the bracket here, and then I could see the bottom part here. This is the lower steering shaft. That one wasn't going to end up being too short. So what I did is I figured out how much too short, and I ended up, all I had at the time was some of these nuts. That's about, that probably is about 3/8 to ½ inch nuts sticking out. Just big nuts. They're not doing anything, just spacers. And then I had to go get some different longer bolts. So I got some bolts at Lowe's that would fit, and just with that extra distance. Those worked really good. And then basically bolted that up. The beauty of this is, with this extra space, the shaft that sticks out of this now is very easy to put in and out. You just put the spacers in, so it's incredibly easy to install and uninstall. Everything lines up absolutely perfect. The bottom lines up perfect. The top lines up perfect. Very, very easy install. No binding. However, there is a downside. So you could make these different size spacers finding different nuts or whatever you use. Something metal, preferably, I would think. There is one downside to this. If you look down here, when I swung it out, it changed the angle. So I had to cut out a small amount. I honed out a little bit of the plastic here and cut out a little bit more of this, and you can see the difference. It was, actually it used to rub a little bit, so it was down in here. So I completely cut that out further. I may cut a new piece of rubber, but actually, you know what? It's not bad, and it doesn't touch anything down there. So I'm actually happier with it with the spacers because it's so much easier to install and remove. So if any of you guys are having problems with the back, first of all, the ECU is bumping the plug. That's your first big sign that you might want to do something different. And if you did it this way, like I said, just drill a hole a little bit further back and then drill this one after, because then you're going to mark that one after. But like I said, I honed out the big metal bracket that came with the Wicked power steering. So that one, you know, like I said, it is kind of honed out on the other side, but this one's a single hole, so there's no way that that one's going to be a problem. And then that one's just left alone up there. And then you just need some spacers and some longer bolts. You got to go to the hardware store, match up the threads. And other than that, it fits beautifully. I drove it probably about 40 miles or more, and it, or no, more than that, probably 50, 60 miles, and it just was perfect. So anyway, that's about the setup for it, and I'm really liking it.